Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just recently there was a situation that took place in Georgia with a young black man and I believe this was his girlfriend, and also the mother of three, if I'm not mistaken, of his children. Now, y'all know I have to say allegedly this, allegedly that. There was a lot of information that came out, some things that had to be corrected, some different outlets that had wrong information or conflicting information. And also, I'm going to make this statement. I've seen a lot of people talking about this situation. There's a lot of crazy mess going on within the community concerning this situation. A lot of really morbid responses. Some responses that I agree with, some responses I absolutely do not agree with. Y'all have to understand, at the end of the day, I am a Christian before I'm anything else. I am a follower of Yeshua before I am anything else. So I'm going to do my best to come from a disposition as that kind of person, which may rub some people the wrong way, but I really could not care less, because who else is going to have a godly disposition towards these situations and these kind of topics? Now, this young man was only 30 years old. His name was Telvin Osborne. He was in a relationship, like I said, to my knowledge, with his girlfriend of however long, I'm not sure, and the mother of his three children, allegedly, by the name of Hannah Grace Cobb. Now, there were allegations going around that he was clubbing with this girlfriend of his. I don't know if this was the night before this happened or some other time. There's a video circulating of her basically making the pew pew sign at this, whoever it is. They're assuming it was him that was recording it. That behavior right there was already a red flag to me. You're in the club acting like you're pow-powing somebody or pow-powing at somebody, probably at your black boyfriend. You already know how that goes. The tensions were concerns, shootings, police officers, and black men, especially within the community, in this climate, so to speak, that we have in our society. Why in the world would you do that? Say what you want to, that's ratchet behavior. And the crazy irony of her going on, y'all know I have to say allegedly, to pow him. And then people want to call people crazy when they tell people, be careful what you listen to. Be careful what kind of music, culture you're tapping into. What you listen to, what you put in front of you, will become you. But we're going to move on from that. Allegedly, they went home from wherever. I don't know, once again, if it was from that particular partying event, if you will. But they went home. She alleges that she was trying to clean her weapon, if you will. And then it accidentally discharged. Now, people don't even believe that. There have been people who own weapons who have came out and said that's a blatant lie. There are people who have came out who have owned weapons who know how certain police officers operate and what they tell their daughters to say whenever they accidentally pow somebody, if you will, or what they tell them when they want to cover some kind of crime involving weapon violence, if you will, if they want to cover it up so their daughters won't end up in prison. A lot of people were saying this is giving, your father told you to say that so you could not end up in prison for deleting this man. Or they tell him it was a blatant accident. How do you accidentally pow somebody in the chest? Doesn't make sense to me at all. Allegedly, according to the sheriff, they both had been drinking. This is what the sheriff said, allegedly, before that incident took place. So I don't know if they're trying to spin this like something happened between the two of them and then it escalated when they were already drunk, or if she was just reckless in her drunkenness and that's how he ended up getting deleted. Either way, she still needs to face consequences because she took the life of a living, breathing human being. Allegedly, she didn't even get arrested when this first happened. Allegedly, the family had to make posts on different social media platforms and apply pressure, if you will, to the authorities for them to even do something, allegedly. Now, allegedly, after all of that, which it should not have taken all of that, because there's an entire 911 call out on the internet for whenever she called the ambulance and all this happened, after all this happened. Allegedly, she's facing, and I quote, charges of simple battery, family violence, and reckless conduct in connection to the pow-powing, if you will. Which again would lead me to believe either in her drunken stupor while both of them were intoxicated, something happened, either there was an accident or a fight took place. Like I said, this is just me piecing this together based on the little that we've been told that's been revealed so far. Whatever it is, I hope that they get down to the bottom of it and figure out what really happened that night. I'm just glad that the girlfriend is actually in custody as far as we know, and that she is possibly getting charged with something. Y'all know I gotta say allegedly. I certainly hope they don't go back on that, because again, she still deleted somebody. She's still a murderer. And we certainly don't need more of those walking around free. By the way, I spelled it out because YouTube be tripping for any of those who was wondering why I did it like that. Once again, unfortunately, this situation has created a cataclysm, if you will, within the black community. And I really feel like it is beneath us as men and women, black men and women, to let this rip us apart. It's unnecessary. Some of the things I've been seeing people say is just unnecessary and wrong. Now, this cataclysm, if you will, happened because some people, y'all know people always do this. They dig into people's history, see what's been going on. And I guess people didn't really have to dig too far, but they dug up his history, his Twitter posts. It's always Twitter. I keep telling y'all, these social media platforms are going to get people in trouble. They always do. They dug up these tweets and basically splooshed them, if you will, all over the internet, talking about how he made these really misogynistic, well, racist, that's the best way you can really describe it, self-hating comments about how much he couldn't stand black women, how he would rather, a dog, and it had to be a white dog, before he did anything with a black woman. Basically, this one comment that he made where he basically said he would go down, if you will, for this woman, and she was going to also be the reason why he would go down, if you will, that she would be his demise. I didn't said this before. We're going to all be held accountable by God, both naturally and spiritually, for what comes out of our mouths. We will reap what we sow. What you put into the atmosphere, that's what you're going to get. Your mouth is a very powerful tool. Use it wisely. People want to treat people like they're crazy again when they tell people, watch what you say. Watch what comes out of your mouth, because it will be your reality. You may as well say that this man spoke his reality. He spoke his reality into existence. For anybody who thinks that's still crazy, you're literally looking at the example of it, staring right back at you. As I've said before, there are some people who had some morbid things to say about this situation. Y'all already know, as I said before, that I'm trying to come from a respectful and more godly disposition than everybody else, despite how anybody feels about that. I'm also trying to come from an impartial perspective as well. And what I mean by that is you can't be upset at people. I'll give y'all an example. There were a lot of women, as I said before, and men as well. We're not going to put this all on the women who were making comments that was just foul, all the way messed up. And then you had some other people who were making some comments. It was understandable. There were both black women and men who were saying, rest in peace, R.I.P., and I said rest in peace. I didn't say just R.I.P. because some people's R.I.P. was not rest in peace. I told y'all there were some people making some wild disrespectful comments. They said rest in peace, condolences to the family. This is a messed up situation. I hope she gets what she deserves. Although, do not ask us to protest for this man because of them comments that he made. They had a right to have that disposition. His family didn't do anything whenever he was making these comments. His brother, his cousin, whoever they said it was, that was out here trying to fight for justice, making all those social media posts. They didn't check him when he was alive. Why do you want us to protest for him now? Like I said, I understand that disposition. You said condolences, rest in peace. He didn't deserve this. Although that's all we got to say because we didn't like this attitude you had towards black women. And it wasn't really just toward black women. Y'all, this was a hatred he had for black in general. Yeah, he said a lot about black women, but make no mistake, that's how he felt about black men too. And we know this because of those comments that he made, those posts that he made. I don't have a screenshot for those, regrettably. Talking about whenever you see me outside, see me as white, basically. He was telling people to see him as a white man. He didn't even identify or see himself as the black man that God made him. His self-hatred and his hatred for black people, black skin, melanin, his lack of respect and reverence for God, and his lack of respect for other people, along with himself, had him out here identifying and calling himself a white man. Again, the crazy irony about that situation is I can guarantee you, them courts, them judges, they're not going to judge this situation and what the mother of his children and his girlfriend did to him like he was a white man. That's the irony and the sad part about it. And I'm not saying that to disrespect white men or shade white men. I am saying that we need to not disrespect God by hating how he made us. We need to embrace and appreciate and love who God made us, how God made us. And I'm talking about whatever skin color, hair texture, facial features, body features that you have that God gave you. You need to appreciate that. Anyways, like I said before, we're going to quiet and get rid of this narrative that it was only black women, like I said, they were saying crazy things because they were black men in those comments saying that they didn't care about him because of what he said. We're going to tell the truth and shame the devil. Because believe it or not, there are some black men who do actually take it offensively when you disrespect black women because they came from a black woman. Now, once again, do I agree with the he deserved it comments? Absolutely not. Because at the end of the day, the man is gone. He can't come back. He no longer has the opportunity to make his wrongs right. He doesn't have a do-over. His mother is grieving. His family is grieving. His children no longer have a father. Those people might actually see these comments on here. And I didn't said before, this stuff is forever. Once you put it on there, it's not going anywhere. This is social media. Once again, people on social media, we're talking about what I said earlier about watch your mouth, speaking stuff into your literal existence. People really be out here thinking that they are invincible, that they can say whatever they want to, do whatever they want to without consequences. That's another thing that has a lot of people in a lot of trouble right now, and a lot of fatal trouble. At some point in time, you're going to have to humble yourself, swallow your pride, and do what is right for God first, and then do what's right by everybody else. And if you don't, there will be consequences that you will have to pay. Can I speak a little bit of truth that a lot of people, especially black people, don't want to hear? A hard pill that a lot of black people don't want to swallow, some tough love. A lot of people, their issues, what they're dealing with right now, some people right now, a lot of their problems, especially the really bad ones, are a result of them living 1,000 miles per hour in ungodliness, doing all kinds of stuff, saying all kinds of stuff that they should not be. And then they want to wonder why they end up in tragedy and misfortune. Now, don't get my words twisted. Not all tragedy and misfortune is because somebody did something wrong. Although if you got stuff going on in your life that should not be, if your life is a hot mess, the way you treat people is raggedy, take some self-reflection. Do some self-reflection. Take a look at your life. And then do the necessary adjustments. One person on YouTube said, and I quote, another example of watching our words. He spoke into existence. He said he would delete for her, and he did with a teardrop sad face emoji, end quote. Another conversation that was brought up was black women specifically saying, we don't care who black men date. Now, there might be some black woman somewhere who cares, some version of Dr. Umar, some woman version of Dr. Umar who cares. But most black women do not care. And by most, I mean mostly all of us. We just don't want to be disrespected while you're dating whoever you're supposed to be dating, or who you want to date, or who you claim you want to date so much. But the issue is, whenever black women call this out, they're gaslit about it. Oh, that's just your insecurity speaking. You're just being mean, bitter bitchs. We get called all kinds of names for calling people out for disrespecting us because they claim they don't like us or they wouldn't date us, which is fine by us because we don't want to be with you anyways if that's the case. All you're going to do is drag us through the mud and disrespect us and abuse us. And we don't want that. We don't need that. We don't deserve it. And us calling this out is not us being jealous, mean, bitter, or hateful. It's us responding in a way that we should. Anybody else would respond the same way, but our community and society has made it acceptable to dunk on black women, if you will, and disrespect us whenever we call out stuff that's being done to us that's wrong, which it needs to stop. But since we know it probably never will, we're going to keep calling it out and making problems for everybody who wants to participate in it. One person on YouTube said, and I quote, nothing wrong with having a preference, but belittling folks who literally resemble your own mother is where I draw the line. With that said, this is above me now, with a shrug emoji, end quote. Like I said, most people, a lot of people have been saying, again, condolences to the man's family. We hope everything's going to be all right. We hope he gets the justice he deserves. God rest his soul. Although, once again, that's all we have to say, because even though he is deceased and what happened to him was messed up and he did not deserve it, which is the same way I feel, that doesn't erase the person that he was when he was here. Another person on YouTube said, and I quote, people can be with whomever they wish, but to berate black women for no reason speaks volumes about him, end quote. And let's go back to this word preference. That also needs to be reevaluated, because what some people base their preferences on are not preferences, they're surface level, carnal, lustful, perverted prejudices. Let's just be honest. But that's a conversation that black people are not ready to have yet. Oh, but I will talk about it on this channel, so y'all just stay tuned for that. Now, this conversation went even further. One more thing that they extended, which again was just part of the morbidity of it all. Of course, there were some people who were mad. Some people didn't even do research. They just saw comments, the reactions, and they were like, why are y'all going in on this man and his family like this, not knowing the background and the history of it all? Like I said, some of these comments, there was still no excuse for, because once again, the man can't get his life back. He can't come back and undo what he did. Even if he had the opportunity, he can't, because he's gone now. So there's a level of respect that's still due to the man, even though you don't feel a certain way about him, or you feel a certain way about him. But there are some people making the whole, oh, we'll keep that same energy when this happens to a black woman. And to that, my response is the fact that you're even waiting around for this to happen to somebody's daughter, again, speaks volumes about you as a person. And what I mean by volumes about you as a person, I mean that you're a disgusting human being. This disgusting tit for tat that black people have for each other really needs to stop. This is why I've made comments on this channel saying that that whole look out for other black people is a hot lie, is a hot garbage lie, because all that goes out the window whenever pride and offense, a bruised ego, is introduced into the conversation. Some people, their pride is wounded. They feel a certain kind of way because they feel like the comments should be going in a certain direction. So their rebuttal, their response, again, to get their lick back, they make these kind of comments. And it's wrong. Again, God is watching us, all of us. We're going to all reap what we sowed, and we're going to all have to give an account for what has came out of our mouth. Like, again, if we didn't learn anything from this situation, we should at least take that away. And people are still, despite that, doing the same thing, even with those kind of comments. We really need to learn how to do better as it pertains to what we say and how we treat each other in the black community. And that just because something happens does not give anybody the right, again, to throw stones, to say stuff that's very beneath any of us. Bottom feeding comments and saying, oh, I hope the same thing happens to one of y'all. We're better than that. That is beneath us. But I guess that's up to the individual person within the community to actually understand that and do better themselves. Once again, before we fix our fingers to type anything on this internet that's disrespectful, bring up other people from other cases, because I've been seeing all the comments bringing up other black people who have unfortunately perished in these kind of situations. Remember that these people's families might be watching y'all, and that God is definitely watching y'all, and that it is one, beneath you, and two, disgusting of you to do something like that. Once again, this is my disposition. I hate that his children have to grow up without their father. I don't think he deserved this. Condolences to his family. I hope the girlfriend goes right to prison where she needs to be. Some people are going to call me crazy for this, but I'm going to say it anyways. My spirit is really disturbed because, once again, this man is gone. There's no coming back for him. There's no do-overs for him. And it's mostly disturbed because whenever you know somebody, once again, was living 1,000 miles in ungodliness and all of a sudden now they're gone, that is a disturbing thing to think about. I think in the middle of all this happening, we're so used to these situations that we forget that this is an actual person who is deceased now, who cannot come back now. Some people are seeing a joke to be made out of this situation. I'm seeing, while I don't like what he said, I hope that this man got his life together. I hope he knew God in the parting of his sins. But that's definitely a conversation that black people are not prepared to have. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.